Hello again. Well, it's been a busy couple of days, and of course the whole SciManDan thing happened, which I responded to, but it's sort of a little bit related. So my 50th birthday is coming up in a couple of weeks or less, and I received a little bit in advance, but a really cool gift, which basically my wife and my dad and some friends of mine all got together and sort of got this for me, which was really nice of them because I kind of sort of knew it was coming because I was getting kind of some questions on it and stuff like that because it's a very particular gift that I got given. And it's really cool because it's something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I had a little one of these when I was a kid. My uncle had shipped me one out to Africa, and I watched Halley's Comet with it and so on. So I'm guessing by now you've figured out it's a telescope, and it's a beauty. It's a real sort of monster. There you go. Now, the thing is, I have literally just managed to put that together last night, but it's huge, and there aren't any windows that I can use it out of in the house really because the way the windows are built, and they've got bars and stuff, So it's really just for external, I'll have to take it outside, and as you can tell, it's pretty big. I mean, I don't know if you can see this properly, but just the tripod assembly there is probably a good 25 kilos. And then with the telescope on top, I would say it's probably like a 30-kilo weight, the whole thing. Now that telescope is an 8-inch, and it's got mirrors inside which allow it to give it like a longer focal length. For those of you that know a bit about astronomy, it's got like an f8 sort of, that's its like focal length type thing. It's ideal for observing the moon and being able to prove that it's not a lamp or some other weird thing. Now, I have a lot of learning to do. This is not just a toy that you can just hook up and put your eye through it. You've got there's all sorts of adjustments that you have to make sure that it's all in line. And I mean, it's a really high-tech piece of equipment. Like, look at this thing. So this comes off, and you've got like a little telescope through there and all degrees and all sorts of things. It's got a motor in it, which when you hook it up to power, and there's like a little handheld device, so you can hook this up to a laptop, and you basically tell the computer what you want it to look at, and if you've set everything up correctly, and if it's all if you've calibrated it properly and everything, it'll go and find whatever it is that you want to look at, whether it's star, planet, or whatever. And that little motor, that's probably going to take me a month just to try and understand how it works and whatever, because there's obviously different software you can use, which I need to I think the software is free online or whatever, but it's like pretty complicated stuff. It's not something I'm gonna learn right away. So Dan, SciManDan, you're an astronomy guy. If you're familiar with this stuff and you want to come over and help me set it up properly, more than welcome. And I also have an attachment which apparently this thing will allow, there you go, would allow my I've got an old camera which I don't have one of the fancy new ones. It's an analog one, but apparently this would allow to connect it to the telescope, and the computer motorized thing is useful because when you're trying to take a photograph of an astral body, you basically have to have long exposures. You're talking like 10, 15, 20, 40 minutes. And of course, because the Earth is spinning, these objects move across the sky. So the computerized software thing keeps it moving at exactly the same rate so that the photograph doesn't look moved. Now, I don't know if I'm ever going to learn how to do that, but it's really cool that I have this thing, and I'm gonna do my best to try and learn how to use it pretty quickly. Of course, because it's, right now it's like terrible weather here in London. It's raining and so on, so it might be a while before I can step out there and look at it. And also, where we are, unfortunately, it's pretty, built up in there's trees and stuff. So even from our little tiny garden, you can't really see the moon other than possibly at around 7 in the morning or something like that, which is not maybe ideal. But anyway, I don't know. The cool thing is that my wife seems to be pretty keen on even going out somewhere on a hill at night, which is going to be a bit difficult with the kids and stuff, but I don't know. We'll have to find a way to do it. So yeah, that's my latest toy. Really impressed with it. I'm really happy with it. I still have to use it, still have to see anything through it other than the wall of my study, but I'll get there eventually. And yeah, I just wanted to again, let Dan know that, hey, if you need some help in proving that the moon is kind of a planetoid that's spinning around the Earth and it's got mountains on it, and that it moves. I've known this since I was a kid, because like I said, I had a telescope before. Of course, it was nothing of this quality. Apparently, with this thing, you should be able to take photograph of actual features on the moon, like some of the craters and so on. You'll be able to see them pretty well, according to what I've been told and what I've read up on. So yeah, very interesting thing. And thanks again to my dad and my wife and all the friends that contributed to make this possible, because these things, they're a lot cheaper than they were. 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't have been able to have this quality of a telescope at home. Just would have been sort of completely out of anybody's range, I think. But they've become a lot more affordable over the last few years, and so yeah, I can't wait to look through it properly, actually. So that was that. And there was another thing I wanted to talk about, completely unrelated to this and the Mars stuff. But it was about this guy called Joshua Harris, I believe, which I've mentioned briefly before. And apparently he was some kind of Churchian that wrote books about how he got married and he wasn't going to date, and no sex before marriage and all that. And his marriage just crashed and burned. He's written a public apology to all LGBTQ, pedo, whatevers. And it looks like he's gone completely the other way. He doesn't consider himself a Christian any longer, and so on. And some friends of mine are commenting on this on Facebook, I think. And they were saying, oh, well, he's lost his path. We hope he comes back to God, blah, blah, blah. And I sort of said, look, he's actually going to step up, because he was a Churchian. Now he's abandoned Churchianity. And, I don't know the guy's personal thing or story or whatever, I don't know. But it looks like there's some implications of, he apparently was following a whole bunch of porn stars on Twitter, and maybe there's some, gay thing going on there. I don't know. I honestly don't know, and I'm not, judging the guy or whatever. I'm just saying, apparently he's been doing stuff that obviously is considered a big no-no in the stuff he used to preach. He's made a public apology about his books and his views on homosexuality before now, and so on. So now, the thing is, when I said, well, it's a step up from Churchianity, these friends of mine, I think most of them probably didn't understand where I was coming from. They're saying, well, it's pretty bad. It's not just that he's divorcing. It looks like there's all sorts of sexual perversion going on and blah, blah, blah. And maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But my point is, I'm not kidding when I say that being without God and a lost sheep, if you like, is better than being a Churchian. Churchianity is not just Christianity light. It's evil. It's materially evil. It teaches falsity. It teaches falsehood. It tries to twist the truth in a very perverse manner. And there is always an underlying puritanical streak, because in essence, Churchianity really stems from Protestantism. And Protestantism has always attracted these binary thinkers and Calvinists and so on. And these guys are always, without shadow of a doubt, they're always, sexually repressed. So it only makes sense that as soon as they break out, their foundation is completely weak. Their foundation on Churchianity is false. So when that starts to collapse, keep in mind that these people think that what they believed in was Christianity, but it isn't. It's Churchianity. It's a perversion of Christianity. It's the lie. And no really rational, sane person would accept Churchianity as the truth. It's because it's a lie, and because it's false, and because it has a lot of really crazy, weird things. That's why you've got 40,000 plus whatever it is branches of Protestantism. It leads you down all these wrong roads. And the thing is, breaking away when that starts to collapse, when somebody starts to see that this Churchianity they've believed all their life, or maybe been raised in, and the rigidity of it being so broken, really, that foundation starts to collapse. And these people think, oh well, I was a Christian, so now I guess I'm not a Christian. But the fact is, they were never a Christian. They were a Churchian. So Churchianity starts to collapse. It's only natural they rebel against it, because the lies of it starts to surface. They suddenly figure out, hey, it's not unpleasant to have sex before marriage, which is still wrong. Don't get me right. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, right? But they've been lied to all their lives about all sorts of realities of the real world that they're unaware of, both good and bad. So it's only natural they reject the whole of Churchianity, which is fair enough. And it's very easy for them to get caught up in sexual, lustful stuff, whether it's heterosexual, whether it's homosexual, because why? They would start to question everything, because the foundation of their belief is now collapsing and collapsed. So now they question everything. So, maybe this guy started looking at porn, and then before you know it, he's like into some weird fetish, and then before you know it, he's getting roped into the like homosexual agenda or whatever. And he goes down that route. And yeah, those are all lost souls, but they are, at least they have a possibility of eventually coming back to the truth. And, again, I know there's people watching that are thinking, oh, well, the Catholic Church is full of pedophiles. No, that's Novus Ordo. They're not Catholics. They're not Christians. They're Satanists, Satanists or completely ignorant idiots, Churchians. The vast majority of so-called Christians are actually Churchians. Now, it's true that the Protestant denomination is, filled to the gills with Churchianity, because in essence, Protestantism is what launched Churchianity en masse. But most so-called Catholics are also Churchians. They're either ignorant of the Vatican II heresies and the takeover of the papacy since 1958 and so on. They're either completely ignorant of all that stuff, or they actively don't care and are only, proto-Churchians / Satanists, or they're actively working against Christianity, and then, they're Bergoglian satanic scum. So, and again, most of the Orthodox people that say they're Orthodox, most of them don't really follow all the rules. They don't, they pay lip service to it. Most people are Churchians, not Christians. Real Christianity is invigorating. It's life affirming. It's powerful. It's enjoyable. It's fun. It's good. It makes you feel better about yourself, life, everything around you, the people you care about, even the people you don't care about. Makes you feel better about them. So I just wanted to drop that out there. My sort of moral lesson for the day is Churchianity is more evil than being an agnostic atheist with unfortunately lustful thoughts, because eventually you might get bored of that stuff. Even if you start doing all sorts of weird, twisted sex stuff, eventually, hopefully, you'll get bored of it. You'll get tired of it. You'll realize the emptiness of it. And then perhaps you might pick up the Bible again to criticize the old Christianity, right? Churchianity that you used to have, to try and see, where did I go wrong? How was this stuff? What, this was all a lie. And well, if you pick up the Bible for yourself and read it without any preconceived ideas and just start reading it, it's an amazing work. It's incredible. So, yeah, I know there's going to be a whole bunch of gammas going, it's incredible, we agree with you, whatever. As I said, there's just as many stupid idiots on the I love science side of things as there are on the flat earth side of things. So, and yeah, I know SciManDan is also an atheist, but baby steps. First, let's get him to agree that some of our ancestors came from Mars after a interplanetary war. Baby steps. Let's just get there first, and then we'll see about Jesus rising from the dead, which I'm sure is something he doesn't believe in at all. And I understand exactly where he's coming from. I was much more hardcore than he was as a non-Christian. But whatever. Anyway, that's it. It's a short one today. Just wanted to sort of show off my big telescope and let you know that Churchianity is evil. That's about it. Have a good weekend.